Okay, so make your way into child's pose and have your blocks where you can grab them without moving too much from child's pose. And however you want to do that, if you want knees wide or knees together, just how that feels on your hips, ankles, knees, spine. If you want a little kind of flexion in your spine, maybe knees together. And then arms however you want. If you don't want them overhead, they don't have to be overhead. Starting to settle in. At first, just taking a few rounds of breath without big changes. Letting your exhales allow you to sink in and really feel where you're touching the mat and the pressure on the joints, the opening in the top of the foot, the big flexion in the knee and the hips. Depending on what your legs are up to, maybe some length in the spine if you're kind of letting your torso sink between the thighs. Or a little bit of opening through the back of the spine if you're kind of rounded over your lap. Letting yourself sink in and just really feel the sensations that are coming. Take 2 more rounds of breath. Just as full and slowly as you like. And make your way out of child's pose. Pause in your tabletop just to let your knees, ankles, and hips kind of refill, kind of get the circulation moving in them again before you make your way to your belly. That's kind of a big transition, so give yourself some time and bring, let's see how we want to do this. Bring your blocks right in line with your shoulders. And just leave them for a second. Come into Makrasana. So let your forehead rest on the back of your hand or the back of your forearm. And bend your legs, flex your feet. Let your knees be a little wide here. Flex your feet really hard, like pulling toes down toward the floor as your heels reach up toward the ceiling. And point your toes up toward the ceiling. And let your feet relax. Let your ankles just do not a whole lot of anything. And send your heels way over to the left without windshield wipering just yet. Just kind of let your heels be really heavy over to the left. And notice what that does, because we normally move here. Just notice what that's pulling on, what it's pushing on. Maybe find a little length in the right side body in a way that we don't always. And bring your feet to center and let your knees or your feet fall over to the right. maybe totally different sensations this way. Because you may find that the amount of rotation that you have in each hip, you know, kind of changes where your feet can hang to, where your feet can lower to, and just changes what goes on in there. So let your feet fall to the left again. That's pretty interesting. Just notice the difference. I feel like a huge difference from left to right. Like they're not even the same action. And I wonder if I'm doing the exact same thing or if I'm holding muscles in a different way just because my hip doesn't like it. Let your feet fall to the right again. And then start to windshield wiper side to side. And let your feet fall down to the ground and turn your toes under so that you have toe pads on the mat. So your feet are kind of flexed with the toes on the mat, and straighten your legs. So firm your quads and push your heels back like we would in a plank or in a one-legged tabletop kind of thing. That would be Rufus. He has found his voice here recently. And then release that firmness of the quads. Untuck your toes. And find your hands on your blocks, kind of in that like Spider-Man cobra that we do, with fingers kind of dangling off the front of the blocks. And notice even without lifting your elbows up, if there's a different kind of sensation across your chest. And start to send the elbows up toward the ceiling. And notice if that's just completely different from when hands are on the mat. The amount that the shoulder blades come toward one another and the amount that the stretch comes across the chest. Press into your hands. Lift your chest just a tiny bit here. So it's really more arm work than it is opening of the front body. And exhale down. And then inhale up maybe just a little bit higher. And exhale down. And one more time, lift up, maybe to the highest point that you can, almost like a yin type seal with arms almost straight. And exhale all the way down. Send your arms down by your sides. Take a cheek to the mat. Let your heels just kind of sag away from each other. Let your fingertips kind of curl toward your palms. And breathe into that space between your shoulder blades that was just so squished up. Bring your hands right underneath your shoulders. Press up into a tabletop and bring your knees all the way together. We'll come into child's pose with knees together and hands down by your feet to open up that space between shoulder blades. So you might have to turn your head to the side just so you're not squishing your face. Let your shoulders be really heavy here. creating as much space between the shoulder blades as you can. One more breath. And make your way up into tabletop and cat-cow. Pressing into the tops of your feet, round your spine. Send your belly down, chin up, inhale. A couple more rounds of that, just nice and slowly. Find yourself in neutral and make your way to your seat. So we will be in Sukhasana. If you want to bring a bolster or blanket underneath your hips, or even your block is probably too high. But up to you how you do that. And bring your right shin in front. And don't be super concerned about what your legs are up to right this second. Just as long as you're comfortable. And send your arms out and up. Inhale. And cactus arms, pull back. And inhale up. 2 more times, pulling elbows down and wide. So it kind of seems like we're targeting that area between the shoulder blades and kind of forcing it to contract. And then just let your hands rest on your knees for a second and just notice that space. And send your right hand straight forward with your thumb up toward the ceiling. Stay facing forward. Pull your arm across your body and use your left arm, kind of your left hand, right around your elbow to pull your right arm across your body more. And then if it's possible today, wrap that right hand around to hold on to kind of the left shoulder blade. And shrug your right shoulder up and then down. There's probably not a lot of huge movement there. And send your left ear to your left shoulder. Chin dials down to the shoulder. And then just for fun, see what it would be like to bring your right ear to your right shoulder. And then unwind everything, let your hands fall to your lap again. And just notice what's happening in there, in your shoulder. If right feels different from left. Maybe do a couple of head circles, really bringing the chin down toward the chest. And then way to the sides and back. Do it twice or 3 times in each direction. And then come back into neutral. Send your left hand in front of you, right at shoulder height. Pull it across your body and then use your right hand to help it closer to your body. Shrug your shoulder up and then down. And wrap the left hand toward the right shoulder blade. So I'm using a fair amount of pressure in my right hand to push my arm. Send your right ear to your right shoulder and chin down toward your shoulder as well. Make your way back up into center and then left ear to left shoulder just to see what that feels like. And unwind, hands back to the knees. Take a couple nice big full breaths. So right shin is still in front. Without really changing much about your legs, walk your hands forward and bring your elbows either onto the floor or close to the floor. And think about tilting the pelvis forward where the tailbone kind of reaches back toward the back wall and the belly button reaches forward. And bring your chin down to your chest. And maybe within that chin tuck, you also shake your head no. Just to see if it makes any difference down either side of your spine toward your buns. And make your way back up, bring your left shin in front. And as soon as you do, fold forward again. Bring your chin to your chest. Send your tail back and your belly forward. And maybe shaking your head here too. Come all the way back up. Send your feet straight out in front of you for just a nice little reset, forward fold. Let your hands fall wherever they fall. And then same pelvic position as we were aiming for in the Sukhasana fold. Send your tail back and your belly forward. Just see what changes about the length in the back of the leg from heel to sitting bones. And release that fold. Make your way to your back and bring feet flat on the mat with knees bent. Do whatever you want to with your arms. I'm thinking though, what would it be like if you brought your hands, like interlace your fingers behind your head and just let your head rest on your knuckles? If that does not feel okay, do whatever you want to with your arms. Send your right foot straight up to the ceiling and actively flex your toes down toward your face. Bend your right knee, cross over just so that your right ankle kind of taps, or your right heel kind of taps the knee or the top of the thigh of the left leg, and then send it straight back up to the ceiling and all the way down out long. So we're gonna do that a couple times. Come a straight leg up toward the ceiling. Bend the right leg, tap the heel to the top of the left. Straight up to the ceiling and then long down toward the floor. Let's do that 2 more times. So straight up to the ceiling. Come into like a brief figure 4. Back up to the ceiling. Out long. And then again, up to the ceiling. Cross the ankle over the thigh. Up to the ceiling and long. And let it rest there for a second. Slide your right heel in, and we'll do the same on the left side. So I think we ultimately wound up doing 4. So send your left foot up to the ceiling, flex the toes toward you. Just let it hang out there for a second. Pull the left heel down toward the right knee. Notice the difference from side to side, and if you're doing something different with your muscles, or if you kind of naturally fall into a different pattern, send your foot straight up to the ceiling and a long leg down. So 3 more times. Lift up to the ceiling. Figure 4. Up to the ceiling. And a long leg down. Bottom of the foot up to the sky. Cross the left heel, ankle, across the right leg, up to the ceiling and down. And then last time, up to the sky, cross the ankle over, up to the ceiling, and a long leg down. And let your right leg come out long too. And if you have your hands behind your head, let your arms come down by your sides. And just let all the circulation return to wherever it was being forced out or restricted, I guess. And try this. Bring your feet together. Cross your right ankle over your left. So we're not coming into that banana shape. We're still straight. We just have right ankle over left. Now cross your right arm over your left, giving yourself a hug. Let your toes fall to the right. Roll your shoulders, roll up onto your left shoulder as much as you can, and turn your chin to the right. So toes and chin are facing the same way, and elbows are kind of pointing toward the left. It's not the world's most comfortable posture. Take 2 big breaths. Roll everything back to center, unwind the arms and legs. Recross left over right, and then left arm over right arm. Let your toes point to the left. Your elbows point to the right, and there might not be a ton of movement here. And then chin to the left, 2 big breaths. Unwind everything back into center. Let your arms fall down by your sides and your feet separate and eyes close. And we'll stay right here. So I'm going to be looking more into all of that crossing the limbs and involving the joints and twisting a little bit more. It's kind of the way that I understand it in this very brief introduction that I've had to it is it's kind of a nervous system reset. It's just something that our bodies have not done yet, and so there are no patterns, no habitual patterns that we've come into because we've never done it before. So the nervous system is just something novel for the nervous system to chew on, and it can help, in my understanding, kind of reset these habitual patterns that we fall into. So more to come on that. For now, let your breath come easily and naturally. Let your muscles soften. Let your thoughts and your breath slow. Take one more breath. Roll to your side. And a breath here. And up to seated. Nice. Listen, arms out and a big reach up and inhale. And pull hands down into heart center. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.